Hey everyone, my name is Samantha and I am a undeclared liberal arts major. I am planning on pursuing a career in medical imaging. I chose to do my research topic on China and the fight for democracy because I found that it was quite interesting in class and wanted to do more research about it myself. Personally, this will be a good learning experience. I will be able to share with others about this movement and increase my knowledge about it as the years go by. Before I start this presentation, I would like to recommend a video for all of you to watch about this current movement that is occurring in China. So I will put the link in the description box below. First, we are going to talk about some background information, starting with Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a former British colony handed back to China in 1997. It has its own judiciary and a separate legal system from mainland China. Those rights include freedom of assembly and freedom of speech. But those freedoms expire in 2047. And it is not clear what Hong Kong's status will be then. So protesters have begun taking action. The protests began in June of 2019, but they have now spread to reflect wider demands for democratic reform and an inquiry into alleged police brutality. The protesters usually gather in a specific area at a specific time to use their voice to protest. These protests can sometimes turn extremely violent. As you can see in the picture on the right-hand corner of the screen, the protester is wearing a face mask. And if you're wondering why, it's because she is hiding her identity. She doesn't want to be arrested. The protesters are acting now while they still have time before it is too late. So, how did the protest escalate? The protesters feared that the bill could be revived. So, demonstrations continued, as in protest, calling it to be withdrawn completely. By then, clashes between police and protesters had become more frequent and violent. When these protests happen, they are usually taken over by young people, and this can range from people in high school who are students and college students as well. They set up barricades and they throw gas canisters. Many of the protesters are extremely young. There was an umbrella protest in 2014 when tens of thousands of people slept in the streets for weeks demanding democratic elections. On October 1st, while China was celebrating 70 years of Communist Party rule, Hong Kong experienced one of its most violent days. The government then banned protesters from wearing face masks. In November, a standoff between police and students barricaded on the campus of Hong Kong's Polytechnic University became another defining moment. It was absolutely violent. Later that month, the territory held local council elections that were seen as a barometer of public opinion. So the protesters have this motto, and they hold up signs that say, and they yell it too, 5 demands, not one, not less. And these are the 5 demands. So the first demand is that they do not want the protests to be characterized as riots, because in reality, they are not riots. The protesters that have been arrested, they want them to be released, as well as any charges being held against them. They want an independent inquiry into alleged police brutality. They want an implementation of complete universal suffrage, and they want Hong Kong to withdraw from the bill, which actually has already been met. There are protests supporting the Hong Kong movement across the globe. There are rallies taking place in the United Kingdom, France, United States, Canada, and Australia. So we do have many people supporting this movement that is occurring in China. The government's first reaction to the democracy movement was an effort to focus on the personal behavior of individuals. And they argued that they were tools of foreign powers. The government has taken three-pronged approaches, which are listed below. The link that I have provided for you all in the description box below is it's a really interesting video because it goes more in depth of what I am talking about. There have been many protesters that have actually been caught and arrested and given these really severe jail sentences. Many of the protesters don't even speak to their parents because their parents don't agree with what they're doing, what they're fighting for. The protesters should continue fighting for their democracy, for their freedom. Not only does democracy allow all people to have an equal voice, an equal say, but it is also inherently an extremely flexible system which allows for the government to adapt according to changing ideologies because nothing stays the same. It also functions as a crucial check on people in positions of power because if they act in an unpopular or unethical way and the people think that it is completely wrong and what they are doing is just going to cause more chaos than there already is, they will likely be voted out of office. I am supporting the protesters 100%. I believe that they should fight for their freedom until the very end. They have all the right in the world to, and I know they will be able to win this. And thank you all.